Today we are going to review 5 household tasks that incorporate exercises. These tasks provide a much more engaging way to improve range of motion and strength while also providing engagement in tasks that keep the house clean and in order. Purposeful tasks are actions selected and provided to the client to target specific client factors or performance skills. Tasks involve active participation of the client and sometimes comprise engagements that use various materials to stimulate activities or components of occupations. Purposeful tasks that we will be reviewing today include laundry, washing mirrors, dusting, vacuuming, and washing the dishes. So when you're doing your laundry, you're doing a lot of motions that also can pose as your exercises for getting back those movements in our joints and in our muscles. And so when we're loading up the washer, we're just throwing in our clothes and we're pulling this down. And so we're reaching across our body, so we're reaching across midline to do these things, which is really great movements for our joints and for our body. You're kind of turning your torso, we're reaching with our arms, and then when we're turning the knobs, we're kind of using the flexion and extension of our fingers to do these motions. And that's kind of just how doing these household activities kind of poses as some of our exercises that helps with our joints after having a stroke. So with the washer, I kind of showed like if you are able to stand and we're able to walk, kind of doing those motions. But if we're in a wheelchair, you can bring your wheelchair up to your dryer. You're opening the dryer, so you're also extending and flexing your elbow with these motions, and you're gripping, and we're also still reaching across midline, and we're turning knobs. And that's just great movement for our fingers, for the flexion and extension. We're grasping, and we're also extending our elbow, and we're also reaching across our body. So that just kind of shows when you're in a wheelchair, you're still able to do these things, and that's kind of how you're getting your exercises, especially for your upper body. So folding our laundry is a great activity we can do while we're sitting. As you can see, I have my hamper full of all of my clothes I've just done right here. And so here's kind of how it can help with your exercises, help with that movement in our upper body. So we're reaching across midline again to get the clothes out of our hamper to fold them. And we're doing a lot of manipulation with our fingers, movements of that wrist to kind of fold the shorts together. See how we're engaging the elbows as well. We're kind of rotating our shoulders for that movement. And also when we're putting our socks together, it's a lot of fine motor skills, manipulation with our fingers, and we're kind of bringing them together. We're flexing that wrist to make that motion happen. And so that's kind of how laundry poses as a way to do your exercises. So another part about doing our laundry is we need to put our clothes away. And some of your clothes need to be hung up. And so this is kind of how we can really engage our shoulders. And so what you're doing is you're reaching up for your hanger, and you're grabbing your hanger, and then you're taking your clothes, and you're really manipulating. So I have a dress here. You're really manipulating with your fingers to get this dress on the hanger, that fine motor movement we've seen so far. But then here we're really going to engage our shoulder to reach up and hang the dress. We're really flexing that shoulder. And so that's kind of how you can engage that shoulder joint in hanging up your clothes and get that exercise and that range of motion going. So if you have a closet like mine, you may have a rack higher up and then a lower rack as well. And so if you are sitting in a wheelchair, maybe the lower rack is more accessible to you, so you can still put your clothes away. And so you're putting your clothes on the hanger like we saw before, and you're still reaching over and you're hanging up your clothes. Now with this, you're really more engaging your elbow. You're really extending your elbow. You're kind of getting your shoulder motion here, but not as much. So if you can't reach all the way up to hang, you can still do that motion and pretend like you are hanging your clothes up. And even if it doesn't reach all the way, you can still engage your shoulder and practice that motion. And that's how you can still engage your shoulder if you are seated in a wheelchair. So when we're washing our mirrors or our windows, things like that, what we're doing is we're flexing our fingers for the grip and for spraying. But then we're also engaging our shoulder and our elbow. We're getting that rotation movement. We're going up and down, side to side, and all around. And we're just really getting that rotation of these joints, lubricating them. We're also strengthening the muscles and really engaging those muscles for this activity. And so when you're vacuuming, not only are you gripping and engaging, your hand and your fingers in this motion, but you're also going to be flexing and extending of our elbow, and also we're engaging our shoulder. We're flexing that and we're getting that movement and that range of motion in both our elbow and our shoulder. So just repeating these motions is really good for these joints and muscles. So whenever we're washing the dishes, this is kind of a bilateral action, which I'm talking about how you're using both of your arms at the same time. So one hand is going to be using grasping while the other is going to be washing. And you're really working basically the whole arm, especially if we got some hard stuck on stains. We're going to be scrubbing, we're getting that shoulder, that elbow, and that wrist, and we're also getting our fingers involved in the washing process. So this is a great activity for using both of our arms and also working on that strength and moving all of those joints in the upper arm. Okay, so for my wheelchair and my dishwasher users, this is another alternative to, instead of washing with our hands, using your dishwasher. You're reaching across midline, we're opening our dishwasher, and we're also kind of engaging our torso, those core muscles to kind of bend, and we're pulling open, we're using the arm, and we're reaching and we're grasping, and we're putting things in the dishwasher. Or if we're unloading, we're taking it out and we're reaching up to put things away, or maybe to set on the counter and maybe have your care partner or caregiver help with getting it all the way up if you are in a wheelchair. And so that's just kind of how we're using the dishwasher, engaging the shoulders, the elbow, reaching across midline, using our core, things like that for the dishwasher and while we're sitting in our wheelchair. So with dusting, it's going to be another activity where it's bilateral use of our hands. We're using both arms and we're reaching for the object. So we're extending that elbow and we're bringing it back close to ourselves, and then we're gripping and we're using our wrist, we're using our elbow to wipe down the surface. Also, you're bending over quite a bit, so you're also engaging your core with that bending motion. Also, if you wanted to bend to clean the surface here, or if you need to reach up to put whatever back on the high surface. Also, if you're in a wheelchair, you can sit down and bring your wheelchair up close and still get the task done while sitting.